Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user FewImpressions6465. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he has to decide between me attending his wedding and accepting I won't take part in the family unit ceremony, or accept I won't be there? My dad's engaged to his partner of 2-ish years. They moved in together last month and their wedding is in December. I, 17 male, am my dad's only bio kid. His almost wife has 3 kids of her own. Her kids are younger, like under 10. Maybe they're even all under 8, I'm not that sure. They decided they want to do a family unit ceremony and have it be about becoming one family instead of the 2 of them being a married couple. His future stepkids are excited by the idea and want to take part. I don't and won't take part. I already explained to him that I'm not interested and can't be talked into it. He asked me why and pushed for me to reconsider. He told his wife and she's freaking out because her kids have this idea that they'll get a big brother out of this marriage, and my dad and her told the kids will be real siblings once the 2 of them are married. All of this despite the fact I really don't know her or her kids. I have really only spent any real time with the kids twice, and it was more me trying not to be an a-hole than me wanting to spend time or get to know them. I think that, and I think that's obvious because I don't know their actual ages. Some background to explain some relationship dynamics because I'm sure there are questions. My dad raised me alone. My mom took off when I was less than a year old. I don't remember her. I don't remember her being around. Her family wasn't around or in my life either. I didn't have a lot of family besides my dad growing up, except for one of his siblings, and for most of my life, Dad was a good dad. But when I was maybe 11, he started preparing me for the fact he wanted his own life and travel the world when I turned 18 and I'd be on my own. He talked about how I should not expect to see him very often and to expect we might not see each other for years sometimes, and how he doesn't want to be tied down until he dies. That he would call or answer calls when he wasn't busy with his life. He said some stuff that made me believe he resented the fact he raised me alone and had to change his life for me. He never actually lit up on that. He talked about it so much that we started to fight, and I told him I got it, and he was done being a dad at 18, and he told me I was being dramatic. I argued that he told me I could go 5 or maybe even more years without seeing him, and he didn't want to be tied down. That he might even ignore calls so he could live life. I told him that sounded like he wanted to stop being a dad. He told me I focused on the wrong parts, which were the right parts according to him. When we argued about it other times, he said that he wanted the life he missed out on and he wasn't waiting around for me to be ready. That I'd land on my feet eventually and I wouldn't be his kid anymore, I'd be his peer. Which he then said I picked up wrong. But basically for years, I have been prepared to leave at 18 and not have my dad in my life. Then, he met his almost wife and all that talk about traveling the world was gone. He started to become a dad to her kids. He was spending time with them and building a life with them. Eventually, he tried to include me, but that was only really in the last 4 or 5 months. But I've ignored it. I did babysit twice for them. Once when his almost wife was rushed to the hospital, and the second time when his almost wife had a follow-up surgery for health issues she has. My dad has tried to argue that our family is growing and I should be trying harder to be included in it. I told him that won't happen, and if he wants whatever half-assed relationship he planned to have with me before then, he needs to accept that. That I'll come to his wedding if he wants me there, as long as he accepts I won't be a part of that ceremony, and if he can't accept it, then I won't go and he'll need to accept that. His almost wife heard us talk it out and she said I'm not taking the 11 good years into it and I'm punishing her children for my dad not being perfect, and that isn't fair to them. She told me a good person would be glad dad decided to stick around and love the new people, especially the kids, and want better for them. Am I the a-hole? And for full disclosure, I have about a month to go until I'm 18 and my plan is to move out that day. Not the a-hole, OP, not even close. You're not rejecting your dad's new family, you're protecting yourself. After years of your dad talk about him living his life and whatnot, and that you'd shift from being his son to just some peer he might call now and then, it makes perfect sense you don't feel like joining a unity ceremony with people you barely know. That's not bitterness, that's honesty, and it's totally on your dad. He prepared you for separation, not for blending. He was a crappy dad. He made it clear that your relationship had an expiration date. And now that he's shifting gears and playing dad again, but to someone else's kids, he expects you to play the part? F him, and his fiancée with her little speech, she can get bent beside him. The ceremony isn't for you, it's for them, and you're allowed to say no. You have boundaries, period. You're not punishing anyone. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments. Okay Childhood 9774 says, not the a-hole. Your dad set the parameters of your relationship when you were still young and drummed them into your head. Now that his priorities have changed, he acts surprised that you're not interested in a different relationship. Go live your life. And OP responds, he must have expected me to be the same upset 11-year-old who first found out what his dad has planned. But I knew he was serious, so I thought about and planned for when that time comes. Both Protection 1246 says, well, you've already been told your baggage holding him up from his real life. You're only going to become the de facto parent for stepkids once your dad is married, so he and his new wife can both not hear from you for years and live their life. Run, Forrest, run. P.S. Once your dad realizes that he has to raise the new kids, he'll be out of there. Dodge the bullet now. Suddenly Pineapple 1 says, a good person wouldn't guilt trip a minor that went through years of emotional abuse by their father just so they can play happy family at a wedding. Not the a-hole. Both of them sound like selfish people who don't really care about how your fatherless behavior affected you, nor do they actually care to actively fix it in a real way. Just grin and bear it, right? It's not a big deal, right? Grow up, right? Sad thing is that you've had grown up since you were 11. Sad thing is that your father only wanted to continue being a dad when he got with someone who happened to have children. Sad thing is that his mindset only changed after getting laid, not for his actual child he actively hurt for years. OP, I'd stick to your guns. It's not like either of them apologized either. Big red flag. Additional information from OP's comments. I have no interest in making these people my family. I have no interest in clinging to a man who was ready to discard me and is only changing his plans for new people, who only tried to include me later on. It's not like he worked to make up for the things he said and the plans he made for all those years. I accepted before they came along that I would be on my own, and there's nothing Dad can say or do now to change the fact that he'll stay for them, but not for me. Even therapy won't make me want to work on overcoming this. I have friends who are more like family to me than he is now. I knew I was working to save so I could move out at 18. He knew I was saving to have a life when he wasn't there. At no point did he say he was sorry. He only ever argued that I saw the worst of what he was saying. But every time he tried to make a new point, he made it worse. 11-year-old me was so sad and worried. It felt like nobody wanted me. My mom hadn't wanted me and left, and my dad was basically saying he regretted sticking around to raise me and would leave once he wouldn't get in trouble for it. So, I have worked my ass off to be ready for him to leave, and it got to a point where I knew that was better because why pretend to see the best in a person who resents me for something I couldn't control, like being born? He was 25 when he had me. I had thought we'd always be close, live near each other, and see each other all the time, even when I grew up. I mean, he was my whole world. I know that raising kids is hard, and I think parents deserve to be happy too. But I think if a parent is unhappy, takes it out on their kids and tells them they're on their own on their 18th birthday and don't expect anything from me ever again, then you can't expect the kids to stick around and support their happiness. My dad reminded me many times over the last 6 years that I'll be alone. Now he expects me to change the plans that he forced me to make so he can be the very thing that he felt was a burden, a parent, only to someone else's kids this time. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and in the additional context, we reinforce the notion that OP's dad sucks. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I know people wanted an update, and I was asked to talk more about what my plans were. I shared some details in my original post, but things have changed because I moved out. Technically, kicked out. On the day I made my post, I had plans to sleep at a friend's house. Once I got there, my dad sent a text saying his partner was rushed to the hospital again and he needed me to babysit again. I told him no once and that was it. A few hours later, my dad asked where the hell I was and why had I said no when this was an emergency. He sent multiple texts, but then he realized I really wouldn't babysit and had stayed wherever the hell I was, and he went off. He told me if I won't babysit and be there for the family, then I better stay gone. He texted me the next morning, yesterday technically, and said I was not living under his roof after that stunt and to stay the F gone. I knew he meant it, so when everybody was out, I went to the house and got everything I had prepared to leave with, when following my plan exactly. That included all the important documents I had, clothes, and anything I bought or that was given to me by people who aren't my dad. It was basically all ready to go anyway, and I got in and out without a fight. My friend's parents are letting me stay until I can follow through with my original plan, which was to get somewhere with a friend locally until we all graduate, and then some friends and I will be moving out of state. We've been working on this for a long time now. Honestly, I've been working my ass off to save money to be able to leave regardless of whether I had help from friends, but having them definitely helps. My dad sent more texts since I grabbed all my stuff. He tried to guilt and shame me and talked about how much the kids needed me and I wasn't there, but he also let out way more of his resentment towards me, and it confirmed what I already knew about him. He doesn't regret the way he treated me since I was 11. He meant every word he said, and that he expected me to pay him back for raising me, but I won't. I'm not staying to be treated like crap. He still wants me out of his house, and he reminded me that I was not welcome back, that he better not come home to find me there ever again. So that's my update. It's been a crazy day or a couple of days, and I got so many comments of my post, way more than I expected. I know a few people tried to convince me that he really did love me and didn't resent me and was trying to make it up to me. But after all of this, I'm more convinced he resents me, and the trying to include me lately was an act to make me someone who could do stuff for him. I don't believe I ever had the dad I originally thought I had, because I don't think an actual good and loving dad would shut it all off one day for no good reason. Things have changed a little, but I'll keep working toward my plan. I'll also make sure to make it up to my friend's parents because I know this was unexpected for them and I'm grateful they let me stay. And about my dad's wedding, after everything that's happened now, I won't be attending, like at all. There's no once a year or once a decade relationship going to happen anymore. I won't offer back what he offered to me. I don't care if he turns me into the bad guy, he can. At this point, I'm done and I want nothing more to do with him or anyone connected to him. His future wife can figure out on her own what he's like. Also, I'm not going to fight for child support. I know it would screw him, but I just want to get away from him, and being locked in some court battle with him would just be a stress I don't need when I need to focus on more important things. OP, I'm so sorry that you got dealt a bad dad, because that's what he is. But you know what I get from your post is that you're a very smart person, because instead of resenting parenthood as a general, you understood that it is your dad the one that's crappy, and that a good and loving father does not shut off the love, because love from a good parent is absolutely unconditional. And even though it is a horrible lesson to learn the way that you have, I'm sure that if you ever do become a parent, you know exactly what type of parent not to be. And on that note, OP, here's wishing you the best in the future. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user AIUD Know Now You Know. Am I the a-hole for getting upset with my roommate for eating my food without asking? So I, 23 female, live with a roommate, 22 female, and we've been living together for about 6 months. We never set clear rules about food, but we both kind of operate under the assumption that if you want something from the fridge, you ask first. It's been fine up until now, but lately I've started noticing that she's been eating my stuff without asking. For example, I bought a bag of chips last week, and by the next day it was almost gone. She didn't ask, just helped herself. Then, a few days ago, I made some pasta and had leftovers for lunch the next day. I came home to find that almost half of it was eaten. When I asked her about it, she said she was hungry and didn't think that I'd mind. I wasn't mad at her being hungry, but I was frustrated that she didn't even ask or let me know. I talked to her about it and she got really defensive. She said I'm being too possessive over food and that I should just chill. She also said she didn't think it was a big deal and that I was overreacting. Honestly, I don't mind sharing, but I do mind when it's assumed I'll be okay with it without checking first. Now I feel like I'm being seen as petty, and she thinks I'm making a huge issue over something small. But I'm just frustrated because I feel like my boundaries aren't being respected. Am I the a-hole for getting upset about this? No, Opie, of course you're not the a-hole, and you're right, your boundaries are not being respected. She says you're being too possessive about your own food. I mean, if she wants to live in some sort of a commune, then she should ask you if you'd be up for that, but not just assume that whatever you buy, she can just take without asking. The way I would solve this is just make it clear. I don't care how you feel about me not wanting you to eat my food. Buy your own stuff, eat your own things, don't touch my food. Make it clear to her that it's a boundary.
Joey doesn't share food!
And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. By the Brook 88 says, quote, she said I'm being too possessive over food and that I should just chill, end quote. Obvious solution, start eating all her food until she gets upset, then quote her own words back at her. Stealing from a roommate is the same as stealing from everybody else. Would she shoplift because she was hungry? Croft Survivor says, not the a-hole. She has decided she can save on food by eating yours, and she's arguing with you and trying to intimidate you into shutting up and letting her. Tell her, since she's not abiding by the rule of asking first, that the two of you are going to have separate groceries, and if need be, separate shelves, because you are not paying for her share of the groceries. She feels like that's petty? Too bad. The rest of us call it being an adult. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Says, not the a-hole. You're allowed to be upset when people steal from you. And Mrs. Pepetto says, absolutely not the a-hole. It's just common courtesy to let someone know and or ask first. It's a big deal. Food is not cheap. It's good to set rules. That way, it's clear and no one can get confused or upset when someone gets a little upset. You're not being selfish or petty in any way. Leftovers are, in my opinion, close to a personal possession. We make plans for our leftovers, not the a-hole. Food and boundaries with anyone you live is important, period. Do not feel bad and do not let her make you feel guilty. She knows she's wrong, which is why she got defensive. She either needs to make it up to you, somehow by buying you a bag of chips or making pasta for you and then never cross that line again. That's exactly what I would do if I were her. I wouldn't do what she did in the first place, nor would I get defensive about it, but if I did, that's what I would do to show you I'm not a monster. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, so now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hey again, just wanted to give you a little update since a lot of you are asking what happened. First off, thank you to everyone who validated that I'm not in fact losing my mind over a bag of chips and some pasta. I really appreciated the support and the advice. So here's the thing. I realized while reading the comments that I wasn't crazy for expecting basic respect. I did make my boundaries clear from the beginning, maybe not with a formal food treaty, but I've always asked before taking anything of hers, and I made it known early on that I expect the same. It's not rocket science. After the pasta incident, rest in peace beloved lunch leftovers, I sat her down for a second to talk. I explained again that it's not about the food, it's about respect. She doubled down, called me too intense about snacks, and implied I was being dramatic. So, in a brief moment of pettiness, I may or may not have labeled everything in the fridge with my name in big, bold Sharpie letters. This includes a single grape, just for the drama. Since then, things have cooled off a bit. We're not exactly besties right now, but she hasn't touched my stuff since. I even caught her buying her own snacks, yay, which feels like progress. We'll see how long it lasts, but for now, I'm calling it a win. Anyway, thanks again for the support and for reminding me that standing up for your boundaries doesn't make you too much. And yes, the grape is still in the fridge. It's symbolic now. Well, OP, good for you. You drew boundaries, she doubled down, and you enforced them. So hopefully now she'll start respecting your food. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.